Hey Mark,
How are you, mate?
I'm great. How are you?
Real good? Yeah,
So
really good.
we've been looking forward to this call for well, just over a year, I guess, when this all started in January of 2010, and
Yeah.
here we are. It's the 4th of January, 2011, and this is kind of the 1 year. We started a little bit earlier than the 1 year point, but this is kind of the 1 year follow up to where it all started, which was a call that you and I did over Skype in these very same rooms, where, if you'll remember correctly, we started with zero. I loaned you $20, and if I remember correctly, we basically did a rundown of the applications on your computer, and from that list, I was able to help you come up with an idea to create a product out of nothing, basically leveraging just something you already had,
Yeah.
and a little bit of your own sort of mental talent, and turn that one $20 loan into quite a few hundred, if not $1,000 in revenue off of that single product.
Well, that product in itself pulled in over two and a half, probably near
So,
$3,000.
so how long did it take you to do the first product? I think you spent a few hours on it.
Yeah, it took me a while to learn the software because the software was GarageBand, which I've never used. But it took me 4 hours in total to do it, and then probably 5 hours in total. But it could have been three. 5 hours, and that included time with you doing sales page and what have you. But yeah,
So you
five
turned
hours.
five
To do it.
hours and a $20 seed into over $2,000, so over 100 times your return on investment.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And here we are a year later. Now, I know that we started out with this doing we were doing, I think, 2 or 3 calls a week on average, where you would kind of give me updates on what you were doing, and I would even share some of the stuff I was doing with you, and we just kind of had a lot of back and forth dialogue. We could call them coaching calls, but it wasn't really rah as much as it was just reviewing where you were and kind of just doing some updating and brainstorming and that type of thing. And I remember in your first month, we did our sort of first one of these review calls. And how much did you make in your first month?
Just over 1,000 US.
So your
Thousand.
first month you made over $1,000 on products you created out of nothing.
Yeah, thin air. Just it was great. I mean, it was. I'll always remember the first time that I pressed the button and launched the product, and I had the first amount of money come in. Actually, while we were on the Skype call within 15 minutes, and that started that off. And yeah, I did $1,000 on the first month, and it was good. And like you said, I had to take $20 from you to get that going.
Yep.
So I mean, I was starting from lower than zero.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And would you say, in hindsight, you obviously you spent some time in jail thinking about you were going to do this. You were going to do this business when you got out of prison. Would you say it was easier or harder than you had hoped or expected it to be?
Way harder. I mean, the reality was that actually, before being officially released from jail, as you know, I did actually get some time out to resettle me back in, and I thought that would help because I was already used to being out a little bit, but it didn't. The harsh reality is that I got out on the 22nd of October, and for 2 months, it took me until January to probably get my head around many things, not just work, but all kinds of things that came up. So for 2 months, it was a complete I don't know what I'm doing, which for me, that was hard because I thought it would be a lot easier than it was. And then you add in I had a job then. I actually got released to having a full-time job. So
Yeah,
that wasn't until towards the end of February that I actually quit that full-time job. So all of what I did in the first 4 months was whilst having another job as well. And that was hard. Plus all the financial pressure I came out to. It was just hard. I mean, some of those calls that you'll remember, my head was screwed, to say the least. And that's without going down all the other stuff that happens when you get out, and relationships and rebuilding with kids and all kinds of stuff. So it was really hard.
I think it's interesting because if you're into internet marketing, or you're someone who's watching this who maybe hasn't created their first product or hasn't made their first sort of dollar or a few dollars online, there's so much out there in terms of hype that kind of says, oh, this is easy and a 6-year-old can do it, and it's always, you know, easier when you kind of, when today it's easier than it was for me a year ago, than it was 5 years ago. It's always getting easier as I learn more, but it's always a challenge. And I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that there's really no autopilot in this business. There's really no set, forget. You know, you see these sales pages where they promise you these you know, ridiculous amounts of money for no work at all. And what I think a lot of people have to get their heads around is that this is a job or a business just like any, you know, open a hot dog stand, open a restaurant, be an internet marketer. You're going to put in a lot of hours if you want to make hay while the sun shines. Would you agree with that?
I would. I do think there is more automated money the further you get into it. We've experienced that years ago. You put a lot of effort in at the beginning and you make money for months to come for doing nothing, for that initial seed effort that you do, which in many cases was a lot. So no, there's no easy money to get going with. Some of the biggest internet marketers out there do make easy money. They can press a few buttons and make money. But not for
when you have a mailing list of stature, right? That changes everything. But day one for anybody is never easy, and day 30, day 60, day 90 aren't going to be easy either.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And what I will say is this. I mean, I remember the first. This call's videoed actually. It's out there in some areas. The first product that I launched was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if anybody sees that video, that's actually me sitting in bed because I was knackered. And you forced me to launch that. I was going to do it the next day. It was being forced to do it. I can't remember specifically the problems I'd had that day, but work and I can remember an argument was there. I can't remember what it was about. But anyway, you got to force yourself to do it, and you need somebody to do that sometimes. And yeah, because it isn't easy, because it's not push a button and make lots of money. You need help. You were my initial. I know that if I hadn't have had you, I'd have at minimum been delayed another 2 or 3 months in getting stuff done because I'd have been focusing on stuff. You got to get product out there, and you got to do it, and you got to get the work put in. And there is no easy initial money. That's what I'll say. But yeah, undoubtedly it was harder. But for anybody watching this, if you have a full-time job and you have pressures of family and maybe debts and what have you, there's not actually many circumstances, and this is not like, oh, feel sorry for me. There's not many circumstances that I can think of that were worse back then in November, December for me. Wasn't living with my family, kids and what have you, had that whole thing to deal with. Was $400,000 in debt, plus the debt that I'd incurred whilst I was away, which was another $40-something thousand worth of debt. And that was like immediate. As soon as I got out, it was needing to be serviced, and just not having any money. I mean, literally having. I think when the day I got out, I had the equivalent of £150 to my name, and that was putting gas in the car, and it was lower than low. And needing, not forgetting, and before you even get out of bed every day. Back then, it's come down now, but back then I needed the equivalent of $5,000. £3,000 every single month just to service the debts repayments, and that wasn't clearing the capital, that was servicing the debt, and that was without living or eating or any of it. So I'm not saying it for anybody to say I feel sorry. I'm saying it, if I can do it, you can do it. There's not that many more circumstances you can think of where you've got to battle to do it.
I think it's also safe to say, to your credit and to your benefit, that you know, if you don't know Mark's story, Mark went to prison for, was it 18 months?
2 years.
2 years. He went to prison for 2 years, and I think that what a lot of people don't realize is you don't just get out of prison. And I've never been to prison, but you don't just. I'm assuming that it's more than safe to say you don't just get out of prison and adjust to freedom overnight.
No, you don't. Like I said earlier, I had. It's documented because I actually had people doubting I was in prison, if you remember that. Yeah. But I did have a couple of nights out because of the resettlement programs they do. So I thought, oh, you know, nights out, I'm used to it. It's nothing. The relationships are completely different when you're in compared to when you're out. There's a lot of stuff. You've got you've kind of got a pass to negate responsibilities when you're in prison.
Yeah.
But literally within a week of me getting out, I'd got people not physically hammering on my door, but like, you're out now. What's the plans and debts and all kinds of stuff. But no, people don't realise. And I did 2 years, which is is 2 years too long, but I hate to think what it'd be like if you got longer. But you took out of society, and yeah, very difficult and a lot harder than I thought. And
so I just want to point that out because I think it's important that people know that this isn't something that most people who are watching this have a situation that is probably much rosier than yours was, all things considered, and I think it's important to point that out because there's a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I've just started this mastermind group. I've got 70 or so members in there or more, and I talk to a lot of these people, and over again the recurring theme is fear. I'm afraid to get started. I'm afraid to lose $50. I'm afraid. And when I consider the fear that you were in, where you were already in a hole, you had all these different circumstances working against you, and you were still able to with your back against the wall, able to flip it all around. So let's fast forward you made just over $1,000 your first month. Where were you? How much were you making on a monthly basis at the 3-4 month period?
Well, it grew. It grew. The first month was good. Second month was not, for many reasons, not as good as the first in terms of growth. But then it just kept going. But within 4 months, on month 4, I hit the $5,000 mark.
Okay.
$5,000 coming in month 4, which was great because I'm not going to say that was all profit because it wasn't, but that helped service a lot of what I was at, and it just kept growing.
Yeah, it's never all profit when people tell their numbers. That's a lot of people have to get that over their heads too, or get that through their heads too. Is that when someone says I made X number of dollars, they never tell you, or they rarely tell you what they spent. And I've seen guys that make ridiculous amount of money, buying PPC campaigns and doing other things, and their margins are like 10%. And I know that's not the case with you, but there's always a cost. There's always, especially when you're building your business, you're going to be buying software licenses and servers and things that you don't think about early on, and they'll eat up a chunk of your profits.
Well, what do they say? They say turnover's vanity and profit sanity. And in the game we're in, this industry we're in, a lot of people talk in turnover, which is fine, but just know, anybody watching this starting, you're going to have costs. I did. I was lucky enough to retain a server, but I remember now having to buy software and stuff. But yeah, that was 5,000 in month 4, which then by month 6 went to 15,000 for month 6, which was phenomenal. And I'm not even going to say on month 7 I kept 15,000 because I didn't. I built it back up and it was steadying, but. That wasn't all recurring income or anything like that, but that was month 6. I hit the 15,000, which was phenomenal in 6 months. And again, keep remembering less than standing start.
Yeah.
If anybody, again, watching, you could replicate what I've done with $20 on a credit card in theory. You have to do different things or what have you, but it's possible.
Anybody can. You know what? I get asked this all the time. Take away my mailing list, my blog, any kind of reputation that I've built for myself, and I can still find a way to make cover my expenses working on the internet. It's not impossible. You just have to work. You actually have to do some work.
It's work. I will say one thing. If you were to look at a graph of my income, the income jumped. So month 6, I'd been out of full-time employment for like 2.5 months then. So there's something in that. I won't say that the $5,000 in month 4 was directly because I was able to work full-time. It wasn't. I'd been building towards that. But certainly month 6 was because I'd had a couple of months full-time of putting effort in. But I will say something else to counter that. So it helped because I had full-time. But I will say, just because I hadn't got another job, I'd got a lot of probation requirements. I got a lot of stuff that took time up family wise and stuff. And I will be completely honest, you know, month 6, my head was nowhere near as productive I was nowhere near as productive as I could have been.
Okay. So
I will say that.
And that's all. You know what? That's always the case. Life gets in the way. You're going to have to deal with some stuff. You're never going to be as productive as you hope. But
it can't be done. And I hit 15,000 with all that stuff going on, what have you. And it was a great thing.
So fast forward to end of the year. You're looking back on your year. Tell me what you've accomplished. Tell me your numbers. Tell me, this is what everyone wants to know. Where did you end up at? You know, on January 1st. Revenue wise, list wise, accomplishments wise. Let's hear the raw.
Well, basically, for the year of 2010, because I didn't count the first month or two, but I'm terrible at accounts as well, by the way. But the total in was just over $300,000 for 2010. Probably about 310, just over. I knew I hit the 3 because it was important. Okay. Now, anybody watching what we've been doing from the get-go, they know my aim was $1 million for last year. Well, I hit a third of that, so didn't hit the $1 million, but it was a third. So I did just over $300,000, about $310,000 in. As I said earlier, yes, I wasted some time, but what have I got in addition to the income? I've got a great network of people. Hey, and I learned a lot about that as well. You will recall June, July time having major problems because what I'd done is I'd gone out there and I'd say, right, in January, which was my first seminar, I'm going to go and meet everyone. Yeah. I'm going to be everyone's friend. I'm going to meet everybody. It's going to be great. Well, fast forward to June, July, and first product launch and what have you was due to come up. It didn't happen, and it was a problem. And I basically aligned myself with some people that weren't beneficial to me, my business, and didn't really think how I thought. So then I made a decision, right, I'm going to really choose who I work with and better. And the network of people that I've got now is phenomenal. Really core group of people that are true to my values of how to do business and help each other. And I've got people now, in addition to yourself, that help me for no immediate financial gain or really any gain. So I've got a great network of people, and I've learned so much. See, when I was in jail, I read, and I had courses and all kinds of stuff. So in addition to coming out thinking the world was going to be great and Mark Lyford's going to be the next big thing next month, this optimism that I always maintained. There's no substitute for doing. So it was only when I started getting out that I could do. So I learned a lot. I learned a great deal real quick. Positive and negative stuff. Doing equals learning, and learning is made up of positive and negative. And now, certainly the last 6 months was more positive than negative learning lessons. So I learned a hell of a lot. One of the calls we had was me saying, again, forever optimistic, want 50,000 people on my list within 6 months. Well, I didn't hit that. It took me about 7 months. But I now have,
oh no.
I now have 70,000 people on my list.
70?
70, yeah, 70. Just over about 71,000 is at the moment.
So I now have that you control now, the power that you have at sort of the press of a button is a lot bigger than you've ever had. And that's something that nobody can take away from you, no matter how much revenue you've generated. I don't want to carry this on too long, but I just want to kind of mention that for anybody watching this, Mark's goal of $1 million his first year is lofty, and I'm not saying that it can't be done. It can be done. I've seen it done over and over again. But the reality is that you shot for the moon and you made it to orbit, and that's a pretty good situation for anybody in this business. If you need more than 300 grand a year, then you're going to have to force yourself to work harder. But the reality is that it's still a decent number for you revenue wise, and
Yeah.
the build up, the snowball effect that you've created could easily put you over 600K or $1 million in 2011.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the circumstances that I had, with the set of circumstances I had to deal with, it was all right. It was good, and most people, if they can pull that in a year, would be quite completely happy. As you know, though, I 10 years ago was pulling 2 million a year, so I want half of that back quite quickly. So yeah, I'm happy with what's happened because I see the value in non-financial income for last year. As I said, I've learned a lot, got a great network of people around me, building a big list, all of this other stuff that's happening that will just contribute to this year.
Okay. You've started
Like
speaking as well. That's something new. You're a speaker as well.
I am, yeah. Started speaking, done some workshops, done some seminar speaking, and this year I'm going to be. I've got plans to speak on stage and hopefully be paid to speak as well and what have you. So yeah, I'm a speaker as well, and I think I've inspired some people already. I've certainly helped people along the way, and it all started with your help, and we've continued this year to well, I'd like to think help each other a little bit as well. It certainly in the first half of the year it was you helping me, and it was a bit of a one-way street. But we've had some calls that hopefully have been beneficial back and forth. But that's how it works. That's
oh yeah, you've helped me a lot in my business too. I mean, absolutely, it does become a two-way street because eventually you kind of find your own path, and you don't need someone to tell you what to do all the time. You just need someone to sometimes hold you accountable, sometimes just brainstorm ideas and help you fine-tune things. And I think that's how it's worked for both of us over the last 6 months. So in closing, I just want to mention that on the back of this, because I'm not spending as much time with you anymore, I've actually created a mastermind group that Mark is also a member of. And if you want to become a member of the mastermind group, all you have to do is go to 2011mastermind.com, and you can sign up there, and the price is pretty damn low if you ask me. You'll get access to me, my coaching. You'll get your first hour will be spent with me on a Skype call. That first hour can be extremely valuable to a lot of people just to get the ball rolling and get you in the right direction. Mark's a member of the group, so you'll have access to him as well. If you're promoting something of value, Mark will probably be more than happy to send it to his list, assuming that he can get behind it and he likes it. I've got a list as well. Lots of other people in the group have a list. I think we've counted up about 150,000 email addresses among the existing members, so it's kind of instant access to your own joint venture and affiliate network. There's a lot of value, but you should go and check out the website just to learn a little bit more about it. But if this is the kind of thing that you're interested in doing with your business, taking yourself from January 2011 to January 2012 and maybe generating a few $100,000 of your own revenue, we'd like to help you get there.
Absolutely. It's a great concept what you've put together, and it's really beneficial. I'm going to be doing something not quite the same as you, but I've got my 5K Academy going to be coming out, which is one of my big focuses for this year. I got a lot of products, great quality products. I've just purchased a membership script called Instant Member. I've got about 20 other products sitting there to be integrated with my plans, and certainly memberships, which was a big plan from the get-go, is going to be for this year for me. And I'm really excited about the future for both of us. And the Millionaire Challenge will continue. I'll be doing weekly updates on that, and we'll see where we're at by the end of the year. And with how everything is for both of us, it's going to be a great year. And for anyone watching this, it can be for you too. You just got to take action, learn from the right people, and get going. Get stuff out there and get the ability to be able to make money. As I say, keep saying it, but my situation was far from normal for starting, and I know people say it all the time, but if I can do it, so can you. You really can.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, and I know that you didn't meet the goal that you set for yourself, but I still believe that congratulations are in order, because you've exceeded a lot of people's expectations, I believe, and you deserve to pat yourself on the back and celebrate this, because you need to stop and look back and be thankful for what you've done, even if it's not meeting the lofty goal you set for yourself. 300K is nothing to sneeze at, and congratulations.
Thank you, mate. And I know $1 million a year will be back there, whether it's this year or next. It will happen, and I think anybody can achieve their goals over time with the right work and the right things that they do. And honestly, if you're watching this and you're looking to make 5,000 a month, which was always my initial goal, that can happen. That can realistically happen with hard work. 3, 4, 5 months you can be doing it.
Yep.
And if you're watching it with higher goals, anything's possible with what we're doing. So it really is. But yeah, great. That's the call. I can't believe we've done that. I've been waiting for this call for a year to see where I was at, and that's where we're at, and it's great. And the future is, bright. Forget the economy and all these different people talking about the doom and gloom. There's money to be made. You just got to go into tap the right markets, and you will still make money.
All right, Mark, I'm going to close this off. Happy New Year to you, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again on Skype as we do.
All right. Thank you, mate.
See ya.